Hey, everybody, and welcome to the DLF Trade Show, an awesome member of the DLF YouTube channel, which you can see the awesome little subscriber county thing over on. There you go. It zoomed. There you go. Gets in focus with senior contributor Addison Hayes' office right over there. His little awesome automatic counter thing, which I wish I had something to count because that's the coolest thing ever. Okay, so today we decided, I don't remember how we decided, if this was you or if it was Twitter, I can't, or people in my group chat. You had the idea of doing polarizing players, or at least players that are polarizing at their value or why their value is where it is. I guess that is the definition of polarizing when it comes to Dynasty, right?
Right.
It's not like good or bad. It's good or bad at cost. And we're about to find out what these players actually do cost. And I think we have 3 wide receivers today. So today is just like the wide receiver version of this.
Maybe we'll just do running backs next week. We'll just tie it all together.
Which, if you have any running backs you think are polarizing players, throw them in the comments and we will maybe talk about them. We're talking about Gabriel Davis. Here's a guy. Like, this is a player that, like, almost since being drafted has had the hype. Like, he landed in Buffalo where there was no number 2. Enter Cole Beasley. Enter Manny Sanders. But no matter what happened, it was always there for Gabe Davis. The hype never left. It super helped catching 4 touchdowns in one game last playoffs.
Yep.
Last season in the playoffs, whatever. So the hype is back in action. It has never gone anywhere. It just went up. So, I mean, let's look at some trades that Addison found in the trade finder to see how we feel about it, because I'm curious as well. I may not have a share of Gabe Davis. I have to, and if I do, I don't know how I ended up with it, because I was also never able to pay those prices, because, I mean, just give me Steph Diggs all day. But in a 12-team, 1-quarterback league, trade number 1 is Gabriel Davis and Zamir White for Sky Moore and Darrell Williams. So Gabe Davis at 198.7, Zamir White 48.6, total 247.2. Sky Moore 217.9, Darrell Williams 15.8, total 233.7. This is both same position, same tier. This is a very not fun trade. Like, I feel like no matter which I had, I just keep whatever I had.
Oh, no, I don't agree.
Okay, why don't you go first? You know, you have an obvious choice. So which side is your obvious choice?
Yeah, I'm taking the Sky Moore side fairly easily. I know that that's the side that the analyzer doesn't like. And then, of course, the analyzer also sees that this is a pretty fair trade. But I feel like I just much prefer the Sky Moore side. I think Sky Moore, first of all, is a better prospect and talent, I think, than Gabe Davis. He is playing with, I guess, the same level of elite quarterback in offense. But at least Sky Moore has the opportunity to be the one on his team. Gabe Davis, unless something happens to Diggs, is never going to be the one on his team. And honestly,
Kelsey's going to be the one on the team.
I guess that's a good point. But Sky Moore, at least, I feel like has a good opportunity to be also at 150 targets with Kelsey, like Tyreek Hill has for the past 3 or 4 years or whatever. Whereas I don't really see that for Gabe Davis.
I love doing it. Sky Moore is Tyreek Hill. Okay.
Yeah.
Underline.
That's it.
That's what you said.
Because honestly, we're still not even, I mean, people are like fairly confident, but I don't think one of the biggest problems with Gabe Davis is we're not even sure that he is the wide receiver too. We're just kind of throwing him into that role because Cole Beasley's gone. Manny Sanders is gone. The only people behind Diggs is Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, Jamison Crowder, and then they drafted Khalil Shakir. So the assumption is that Davis is just going to take that role, but we don't 100% know that, I think.
Which is the role to Manny Sanders and Cole Beasley.
Right. So Sky Moore, to me, is just head and shoulders a way better player. I want him much more than Gabe Davis. And then Darrell Williams and Zamir White, I mean, it's a battle of backup running backs. Which one do you prefer? And it doesn't really matter to me, but I have been on the bandwagon that Darrell Williams could be like a league winning type running back because of the opportunity that he would have, that I believe he would have, should James Conner get hurt and miss any time at all this year. Because I do think he is the RB2. I don't buy into that, Benjamin nonsense or whatever. Keontae Ingram. I like Keontae Ingram.
Yeah,
I think
I was
they
about to
signed
say
Darrell
I'm buying
Williams.
into Keontae Ingram RB2 on the
I
team,
like that.
but I mean,
I like that.
I know it's not real yet.
So I like Darrell Williams a lot too. So I like throwing him in on that side, and I'll just take that whole side all together.
I get it. I get everything you're saying. Here's my problem. If I have Gabe Davis on my team, this isn't what I'm looking to do with him. Like, if I have Gabe Davis, I'm finding that person who believes in him. I'm putting Gabe Davis and a second to go get something that's worth more than a first. Like,
Interesting.
doing this swap to me doesn't, I mean,
What about the next trade?
let's just go into the next trade. I was about to say, I don't have an answer, so there's no point in me talking in circles. Let's just go to the next trade. I got stuck at the fact that it's a 12-team 2 QB. That's intense. Gabe Davis and a 23 first for Davante Adams. 23 first, 384.2. The 12-team 2 quarterback league, Gabe Davis. That's is only worth 79.9, which is a little rough. 464.1. Davante Adams still at 549.2. So this leans on the Adams side. And to me, I would love to get Davante Adams, especially in a weirder league for this price.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
this is what you prefer to do instead of the other one.
Yes. On paper, this is leaning heavily towards Davante Adams. I don't know if you're finding that many people who are willing to pay 23 first for Davante Adams based on what 23 firsts are right now. But in theory, this is what I want. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Find someone who's worth a little bit more than a first. And Gabe Davis is going to be that solid wide receiver 2 for your team with the ability to catch 4 touchdowns. So give me that wide receiver 1. I will always do that. Like, that's, to me, if you're selling hype, you're not doing it for a same tier swap. Unless, to you, like what you were saying, it's a clear, obvious Sky Moore over Gabe Davis, in which case, more power to you. You got 2 better players. But, like, it wouldn't something in my brain to hand connection wouldn't let me click the accept button on something like that.
I got you. And yeah, I totally do agree. Like, if I was given the choice, if I said Gabe Davis is on the block and that within an hour I got both of these trades sent into my inbox for Gabe Davis, I'm picking the Davante Adams one, 100%. I like both of them. And it really just shows to me, I think, that I just don't really buy into Gabe Davis. Like, I see the potential and I see the upside that he could have as the wide receiver to Josh Allen, where he's never going to have to deal with, crazy defensive coverage because that's Stephon Diggs on the other side, and Gabe Davis has shown to be, I think, a trustworthy red zone target for Josh Allen as well. So there's that opportunity too. It's just like, I don't know. Like, there's something that's just like blocking me from wanting to see if that's actually what he becomes and just getting off of it now while his value seems pretty high to somebody who thinks that is 100% going to be what he becomes, and just kind of capitalizing on that.
I mean, it's just super concerning to me that Gabe Davis was going to be a thing. Bring in Cole Beasley, a really good route running slot player. Sort of phases out Gabe Davis. Bringing in a 36-year-old Manny Sanders, who is still a very good route runner from the slot, pushes out Gabe Davis. Mm-hmm. Jamison Crowder shows up. And I'm not saying any of these players are better than Gabe Davis, because they're probably not even the same type of players. But maybe that's just what matters to Josh Allen more than anything else. Like, maybe that's his second go-to. Like, Diggs is down there. He's covered. Let me find this guy close to me. He doesn't like dumping off to the backfield. Only really uses the tight ends in the red zone. So, like, maybe the Gabe Davis type of player isn't what he likes to play with.
Yeah, I remember earlier in this offseason, Cal was running through and doing the Dynasty Refinery series, and one of his first episodes was with Matt Waldman. And they actually dove into Gabe Davis a little bit, and Waldman pointed out that when he watches film of the Bills and Gabe Davis specifically, he noticed that Davis is utilized in a very specific role as just like a 9 go route kind of guy. And that is the role that he's been relegated to for the first 2 years of his career. And that might be the role that the Bills just like to utilize him in, that they think maximizes his talent and what he can bring to the table, and maybe he just doesn't have enough of everything else to show kind of why they're favoring towards a Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders, maybe a Jamison Crowder now, or Isaiah McKenzie's getting a lot of hype. Why they think they need a James Cook out of the backfield, or still get Dawson Knox. Right. It's just there's a lot of moving parts here that it doesn't necessarily spell out to being Gabe Davis is the wide receiver 2 on this team.
Exactly. Next, we have Marquise Hollywood Brown. Now, it's really funny, but I think neither Addison or I thought of him as a polarizing player. But when I asked a couple of group chats, his name came up constantly. And it was always Hollywood Brown at his price. Hollywood Brown at his price. And I mean, I'm all on this bandwagon, so let's see how this goes. Like, I have a feeling I'm picking the Marquise Brown side on pretty much all of these, but let's 12-team, 1 quarterback. Marquise Brown, Kadarius Toney, and D'Onta Foreman for Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard, and Calvin Ridley. Aw. Calvin. I got to say his name on a something.
Yeah.
Okay, Marquise Brown, 384.3, Tony, 125.2, D'Onta Foreman, 13.9, for a total of 523.4. Zeke Elliott, 330.9, Tony Pollard, 159. Man, we could have done him on polarizing players. Maybe next week. Booyah, jinx! No, keep talking. Calvin Ridley, 77.3, still holding strong, for a total of 567.1. I'm really into Zeke this year. Like, I think he's going to do really well. But I'm into Marquise Brown for the next, 3 years. And to me, that's all I care about in this trade. Because Pollard and Tony are probably along the lines of the same thing. Given the opportunity, given the health for Tony as well, they could both be really, really good. Not ones or anything, but they could be very usable players. And D'Onta Foreman and Calvin Ridley, I mean, hold on to Calvin Ridley. If you had any hope for Michael Thomas coming back, you have more hope for Calvin Ridley because he never got hurt physically. But that's not the point of this. So the only thing that would make me sad is not getting Calvin Ridley in all of this, because I take Brown over Elliott, I take Tony over Pollard, but I'll take Ridley over Foreman, and that low of a swap that I care about on the other side isn't going to make me come close to accepting this trade. But again, I really do love Zeke for this season.
Yeah, we talked about that. Was that last week, 2 weeks ago already? The Ezekiel Elliott as a really good buy right now for contending teams for super cheap, possibly RB1 production for 2022. But with that said, I do agree. I want Hollywood Brown over Zeke. I want the 25-year-old wide receiver who I think is going to have a fantastic career year this year and only just going to get better in the Cardinals offense with Kyler Murray. Then a 27-year-old running back who, I mean, we've already seen his value drop tremendously this year and is just going to continue that, even if he just continues to be the RB1 for the Cowboys. You said that you would take Tony over Pollard. I feel like that's kind of a hot take, but then I thought about it a little bit more. And yeah, I think I've begun to buy into Kadarius Toney a little bit more because of kind of I know this really isn't the best thing to say, but the training camp videos coming out of the Giants training camp
made that awesome grab over the cornerback and got his toes in. Yeah,
and a couple other ones too. But it just seems like that offense, Dabble, I think is going to be really, really good for this offense and bring a lot of creativity and just give really simple touches to Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale, Saquon, and those are going to be PPR touches. And if Kadarius Toney's utilized how Jalen Waddle was utilized last year, I mean, that's going to be fantastic.
He was working towards that, just the dude didn't stay healthy. Now,
right.
I'm not going to predict, but also based on past, my hopes aren't really all there, but the price is baked into that. You don't have to worry about a lot of cost when it comes to Kadarius Toney.
Right.
Tony Pollard, honestly, you probably have to pay more than what his value really is, which is also why give me Tony over Pollard, because I don't.
Yeah. The true upside of Tony Pollard is a top 5 running back if Zeke gets hurt. But Zeke has only missed 2 games because of injury his entire career.
Said he played the entire last season hurt.
Exactly. And I think people overstate his flex appeal on a weekly basis by himself.
I had him on a couple of rosters and I would never.
He's still untrustworthy.
It's it's best ball. Like, you have to guess the game he has that 40-yard touchdown. Like that's otherwise it's not very useful. This next one is crazy, man. 12-team super flex. Get ready for this one, everyone. You might have to write this down. DK Metcalf, a 23 first, Marquise Brown, Davis Mills, and a 23 third for Patrick Mahomes, Mike Davis, and Traquan Smith. So for Patrick Mahomes. One more time. DK Metcalf, 23 first, Marquise Brown, Davis Mills, 23 third for Patrick Mahomes, Mike Davis, Traquan Smith. I'm not going to list all the individual prices of those small things. Davis Mills at 97.7 is still confusing for me. We know he's a starting quarterback for this entire season. I think his value should be higher, just to put that out there. 1,262.1 for the big DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, the first side. Patrick Mahomes by himself is 980.8. You have to do this to go get Patrick Mahomes. The question becomes, would you do this to go get Patrick Mahomes? This would hurt my soul to send away for Patrick Mahomes. For anything, really. I don't think I could do it.
I think this is one of those deals that whatever side I have, I'm keeping.
Like, if you have a just disgusting team, except you somehow won the championship with Ben Roethlisberger as your quarterback. So you're out a quarterback. And you can somehow spare DK Metcalf and Marquise Brown because you don't want to start Davis Mills. I'm curious, what my lineup would have to be for me to feel comfortable giving up DK and Marquise. Or am I just out on the idea of DK Metcalf on the Seahawks, not just this year, but whatever they plan on doing next year? Because chances are they're going to draft a young quarterback, and chances are they will do that with DK in mind because they just extended him and gave him the most guaranteed signing money of any wide receiver ever, I think it was. So, yeah, he's their game plan. But, man, 11 points per game, that's a lot more than I thought. And what I did not remember, that last year, Davis Mills against the Bills threw for 87 yards and 4 interceptions. That hurts your points per game average. Putting it out there.
A little bit.
A little bit. He scored 0.55 that week. It was the beginning of the season too, so he was a rookie, but still, that's rough. Honestly, I think I do this. A, for the fun of it. B, I believe in Patrick Mahomes. Even with Tyreek Hill gone, I think he's going to be awesome. In 3 years, they'll figure out what to do with Kelsey's replacement or whatever. I have faith in the way that team is run to keep talent around Patrick Mahomes. I have faith in Patrick Mahomes' talent, in which case it's easier to replace wide receiver points than it is steady stud quarterback points. But also, as this year goes on, half of your league is going to lower the value of DK Metcalf because he's not scoring points. So you have to hope, if you wanted to move any of these pieces, that it's one of the teams that are bad that will want to pay a good price for DK Metcalf, because they'll be thinking of next year. Marquise Brown, if he doesn't do what we want him to do, his value is not coming back from that. But give me Patrick Mahomes and then do whatever the heck I want with Patrick Mahomes later. You can do whatever you want with Patrick Mahomes. You can get this deal. So, I mean, it would take me very long to think about it. I wouldn't feel good about it after I did it, but I would do this.
I'm sticking with what I said at the beginning, that whatever side I have, I'm not doing this deal overall. If I had Patrick Mahomes, I'm not selling for this because I personally would want a better quarterback coming back.
Yes,
I think that's my issue completely. And so I was looking up trade analyzer values for if you replaced the 23 first, Davis Mills, and the 23 third, roundabout ish, 550 or 540 points on the analyzer ish. Matthew Stafford was at 570. Deshaun Watson was actually at 470, which I'm sure his value is probably going to climb and stuff. And that's a whole other different conversation that we can have later on down the road. Justin Fields was around there. Derek Carr was a little bit lower, but these are all quarterbacks that like I would at least feel better in dropping down to and still getting DK Metcalf and Hollywood Brown. Like I would just rather replace Mills in the first and third.
What if your team was crap, but all you had was Mahomes? So this is the start of your rebuild.
I could see it because DK's value could rise if their situation gets better. You're kind of buying low on him. If Hollywood does well at the beginning of the year, you could probably sell out. The 25th year first is great, and if Mills turns out to be a thing, he'll probably be worth a first.
He'll be the next Derek Carr, right? Like
something like
on
that
borderline first value. You'll never feel safe with him, but he'll be a pretty good contributor to your fantasy points.
I could see that if you had just Patrick Mahomes and you're rebuilding, and that's all you had. I could see that, but I feel like that's a very like niche,
insanely specific. Yes, yes, yeah. It is. But I just needed to find something that made you say yes. Okay, fine. I would sell Patrick Mahomes for that.
Yeah. Yep. Then on the other side, I'm just not buying Patrick Mahomes for this.
I don't think you're getting him for less.
No, I don't. But that's like if I need a quarterback, I'm not saying
I know.
I think I'm going to go out and buy Patrick Mahomes.
Someone has to, because otherwise it's boring. you know? Like,
I get it.
Some of this has to be for fun. Well, now I'm going to go see what I can go get Patrick Mahomes for in a couple of leagues.
Do it.
The next player, I have no idea what to do. I have him on one team that I am trying to move him for, and I literally just can't get rid of him. And that is Deebo Samuel. Do I need to get rid of Deebo Samuel? I don't think so. He's good. I have no idea what his place in that offense is going to be. Clearly, it seems like it's not going to be what it was at the end of last year, which I'm not smart enough to figure out what his points could have been with X percentage of those rushes taken away or whatever. But it wouldn't be as good. I can tell you that much. I can tell you he would not have scored as many points if he did not run the ball as often as he did.
I remember saying something about that. Hold on. I'll look it up. You can read off the trade and stuff.
So the first trade we have is a 12-team, one quarterback league with Deebo Samuel and Joe Mixon. Wow, that's a heavy side. For Saquon Barkley, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Miles Sanders. Wow, before reading anything out, this is easily Deebo and Joe Mixon, but that's besides the point. Deebo, 766.8. Joe Mixon, 625. Total, 1391.8. The other side. I love that this is a side overvaluing Saquon Barkley, Miles Sanders, and Juju Smith-Schuster, though. Like, rock on.
Exactly. Love to see it.
Yeah, right? Like, that's for this show right here. Saquon Barkley, 622.5. Juju, 209. Miles Sanders, 180.1. Total of 1,011.5. So we're talking literally a first. Like a random 23 first. No, this is one. Yeah, right. Pick's always worth the same. It's 380 points off. That's a lot. But like Joe Mixon, I was about to say Joe Mixon and Saquon Barkley are pretty interchangeable at that point. And then the analyzer completely agrees it's 625 to 622.5. So Deebo for Juju and Miles Sanders, I can't imagine many people doing that. I wouldn't, and I love Juju, and I have faith in Miles Sanders being a decent RB2 this season. But still, the ceiling of Deebo, and maybe even the floor, if he went... The dude played running back. I think we can let off on the fact that he was pretty injury issued through college and a little bit of his first season. Mm-hmm. Like, even if he misses a little bit of time, because I will bake that into every single player at this point, especially with the added game, that players are going to miss time. Like, I can't hold a game or two a season against anyone anymore. But this is super easily Deebo and Joe Mixon.
I couldn't find the Deebo thing, but I do know, like, when it comes to running backs, at least, running backs score 3 times as many points in PPR formats per reception than they do per rush attempt.
Yes.
So I'd imagine maybe something similar is kind of the same for Deebo, because every time he got handed the ball, he didn't get a point because it wasn't a reception, Yeah. I mean, he did fantastic things with the ball after the fact, but I think he could have also done the same thing with if he caught the ball.
The way I was thinking about it was running plays a running play. So if they were handing it off to a different running back because they didn't have many healthy running backs, then he still wasn't getting the ball.
Yeah, I guess there's that too. But if they got this,
like I said, you need a smarter person, because then you have to figure some of them may have been options which could have been worked into Deebo as a person. Like, but again, I'm not going to pretend to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. Overall, I think I'd prefer if I had Debo Samuel, I'd prefer him to be a wide receiver catching passes. I'd prefer every one of those rush attempts to be a reception instead, even just like
Well,
a wide receiver screen.
yes,
It's the
in
same
the
thing.
beautiful land of puppies and rainbows, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah. No, but so that was that. The other thing, yes, I totally agree with you that this is very easily the Debo Samuel and Joe Mixon side. I noticed, and this is like really weird because Kyle Pitts is also kind of like in this boat where they're valued very highly. Debo Samuel in July ADP is the wide receiver 5 right now.
His trade value is not that high.
His trade value is so low. Like this is the most recent trade from the Trade Finder done yesterday. It's Debo for Brandon Cooks, Ramondre Stevenson, and a 4th.
That's bad.
And then there's other ones down here where it's like, okay, Debo for Amari, the 110 and a 23 first. Okay. Then there's one that's Debo straight up for Drake London. I'd rather have Debo.
Yes.
Then the one right below that, again, this is from July 27th. Debo for Robert Woods and Keyshawn Vaughn.
That's collusion.
I
I don't know what to say.
Debo for Curtis Samuel, Zach Ertz, and a 23 first. So at least you're getting the first.
Ugly.
But it's like, I'm just so confused. Debo for Amari and Juju.
I am curious what his value would be if there wasn't turbulence between him and the organization right now.
That's true, because all those trades were done without knowing that he just signed the new contract.
If you have any Debo trades, again, throw them in the comments that happened after the contract signing, because now I'm very curious to see what I can go try and do. Maybe people are a little less worried now that he's there for good, for reals. Next trade we have 12-team one quarterback again, Debo Samuel and Alvin Kamara for the 102, 104, Gabe Davis, and Michael Carter. Debo Samuel and Alvin Kamara, 12, 28, 102, 104, 5. The 102, 558.2. The 104, 445.3. Gabe Davis, 201. Michael Carter, still at 85.8. Total of 1290. So this is along the lines of like what you said before of like Debo for Drake London. And then 104 for Kamara is pretty good, actually, value for Kamara. But I still think I just want the players. If I'm rebuilding, I take this.
Right.
Let's put that out there. Give me the 102, 104, a 23-year-old wide receiver, and a backup running back in case front guy gets hurt. I have someone I could trade away. But man, if I'm competing, the points you're going to get from Debo and Alvin Kamara, because it looks like Alvin Kamara is not going to get suspended this year because his court case keeps getting pushed back. It's not even happening. It's now dated for the end of this month. And assuming it actually happens, because it's gotten pushed back at least twice already, like there's not going to be suspension this year. It's going to be next year. So you're getting those Alvin Kamara points this season. And all of my Mark Ingram shares are worth much less. My SFB team, no. But yeah, this value-wise, like if I'm rebuilding, I take the pick side, which I have to assume that's what this was because, man, there's no guaranteed points on that other side. But if you're telling me I'm giving up Debo and Kamara and getting Drake London, Treylon Burks, Gabe Davis, and Michael Carter, I think I feel okay about that. But that's the only situation I feel okay about that. Like, if I'm retooling, I don't do this as a stepping stone. I don't trade for these picks in order to flip them because you laid out the price for these, and those players marks a steep price. So that's tough. Like, I don't think you'll be able to flip the 102 and 104 easily and that easily that you'll get players that you feel that good about. So, like, I don't do this as a stepping stone move unless maybe you want the 102 and you want to trade the 104. Maybe you get a little something better out of that, or every league has a Gabe Davis person. Maybe you put the 104 in Gabe Davis and go get something along the lines of Devontae Adams. You know, like there's so much specific that needs to go on that, man, Debo's only 26. I know Kamara's 27, which is a little rough, but I'm pretty heavily on the player side.
Yeah. I saw this one. I was like, man, this is like one of the best Debo Samuel trades on here. and I'm still taking Deebo Samuel. I think.
At least I thought about it.
Right. I do agree. I do think that it is overall like it's a good trade, especially like you said, like if you are rebuilding, I think this is a very, very good trade to begin your rebuild. Because like you said, you get Drake London and Treylon Burks, or maybe Burks and Garrett Wilson. You get two of those wide receivers, basically. And then you get the upside shot on Gabe Davis, which maybe you are the Gabe Davis person, or maybe you're able to flip him for, even like if you're rebuilding, flip him for the Sky Moore trade that we talked about at the beginning. If you're rebuilding, like that's a great move there. And then see what you have in Michael Carter. If Breece Hall gets hurt, you can flip for a second or anything later on down the road, if he starts producing. But on the other side, like if I have the 102 and the 104 because I just kind of made like savvy moves and I don't want to make those picks, I'm all for, if you get Deebo and Alvin Kamara for this year, that turns you into a pretty hardcore contender just right there. Where if you already had like a couple other pieces, like if you had a Joe Burrow and, another like a Dalton Schultz, and then you had Deebo Samuel, Alvin Kamara, you're pretty in there for contending pretty easily. Yep. So this whole entire Deebo Samuel thing was like so weird to me, like looking at all of his trades and stuff, that like it makes me wonder, like you said, like should we go out and buy Deebo Samuel? Because apparently a lot of people don't have the confidence in him to not only just repeat what he did last year, which I don't think is going to happen, but even just like be a wide receiver one, which I feel like is still pretty good odds.
All right. We are now moving in to Russ's inbox. Boom.
We do need like a little jingle or something.
Needed like a little like drop right there.
Yeah.
So another Trade Addicts league. So 12-team Superflex PPR tight end premium, 1.75 points per tight end reception, which is important for this one. I got this offered to me verbally, and I couldn't, like, to me, I just meh. So let me just read it out. I don't think I told you which side was mine, because I think I just copied and pasted it from the chat, no less. So let's see how you feel about this. Travis Kelce, Mac Jones, and Chris Godwin for Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and Jahan Dotson. Travis Kelce 495.9, and that's not at the 0.75 premium. Mac Jones 373.4, Chris Godwin 302.8 for a total of 1,172.1. Jalen Hurts 598.1, AJ Brown 525.8, and Jahan Dotson 66. That's rough. That doesn't make sense. For a total of 1,189.8. So these are equal. I would say you have to add a little bit to Travis Kelce because their premium ain't my premium. And I'm adding to Jahan Dotson because that's ridiculous. 66.
That is mad disrespectful.
Like, he was drafted in like the 111 to 202 range in almost every draft I was in super flex leagues. Like, that's not 66 points.
Yeah, it's sad. I agree.
At that price, yeah. Like, oh man, like I might have to go try and get him in every single league if that's his actual price. But what do you think about this trade? Which side would you prefer?
I was trying to figure out, because I know when you sent this trade to me, as this is kind of in your inbox, that you didn't really like it. But I was trying to figure out, because this trade, at least from the analyzer, is pretty fair, which side you're on. Like, I know you love Travis Kelce. I know you also really like Godwin. But I know one of your teams has Jalen Hurts on it, I think.
I have many teams with Jalen Hurts on it.
Okay, so there's that. I think that you are the Jalen Hurts side, and you don't want to move this for Travis Kelce and Mac Jones, because Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown are the two best players in this deal. And even though you're getting Travis Kelce, the step from Hurts to Mac Jones, that hurts, pun intended. And then Godwin is nice, but you already have AJ Brown. And then, like you said, I mean, we're all Dotson fans here, so love to see it. I hit the nail on the head.
Exactly. So this guy comes at me wanting Jalen Hurts, and he starts out with Mac Jones. It was like Mac Jones, a second, and a nothing for Jalen Hurts. I'm just like,
buddy,
there's a much bigger gap between those two players than that. So he's like, all right. So then he starts building it up, but then he attaches AJ Brown to the deal. And I'm just like, buddy, you just make it a lot harder for yourself. And then he comes at me with this, and I stop, and I'm just like, crap. Like, I know as a pure value standpoint, I knew this was a fair trade. It felt fair to me. But Jalen Hurts has the ability to finish the season as a top 3 scoring quarterback.
The QB1. You can say it.
I didn't want to take that hard of a stance because I don't want to be like, oh, he's overvaluing his players. Yes, he has the ability to finish as the QB1 if a few things go his way with that new offense, and if Josh Allen isn't freaking amazing again.
Yeah, he could be Lamar Jackson in 2019. Easily.
There's no reason. Yeah, and then AJ Brown, if Hurts is the QB1, a little of it has to come at the expense of AJ Brown doing well. Expense was the wrong word because expense usually means negative.
I knew where you're going.
Correlation, baby. They both have to be going up a little bit, and like Jahan Dotson just isn't worth that little. But like exactly, like AJ Brown and Chris Godwin, like Hurts over Kelsey, AJ Brown over Godwin, and I get that Mac Jones over Jahan Dotson, but I'm already downgrading at 2 positions, and one of them is for Mac Jones, who I don't see a ceiling for him.
Right.
Well, he has a ceiling. It's just really low down.
Yeah. He's just Matt
like
Ryan.
Maybe in 5, like it's the same thing they did with Brady. They made it a little harder for him and let Brady fly a little bit after a couple of years. Like they won their first, like maybe 2-3 Super Bowls based off defense and Adam Vinatieri. Then all of a sudden Brady became Brady. And I'm not saying Mac Jones will, but like, it still took Belichick time to put it on Brady's shoulders. So even if Mac Jones could, I think it will take time for them to let Mac Jones fly. I still think we have a good 2-3 years before it's a Mac Jones offense. Because it's not. Like last year, I think we saw for sure that it wasn't. And the fact that all they did was add Devontae Parker and Tyquan Thornton, it's still not. Yeah. So that drop of ceiling between the two of them, I couldn't do it. And I was kind of hoping you agreed with me to make me feel better about it, and you did, and that makes me feel so much better about it. But like I was very curious what you had. Like the second you said what's in your inbox, and I'm like, oh, I don't have. Well, I did. Like I woke up and I'm like, trade. Yes, I have a trade to put on the. That's not a good trade. We can't talk about that on the show. And then right away, and I'm like, no, we need to talk about this because it's one of those trades where the response I gave the response I hate. It's a fair trade. I just don't want to do it.
Yeah. And it totally makes sense. Like, and especially because like this is kind of a bigger aspect of kind of what we talked about. Cause you agree with me that Hurts and AJ Brown are the 2 most valuable pieces in this deal, right? And they're both on the same side. They're both on your side. And we said before that you need to overpay to gain the better asset. And then when you got the 2 best assets, you need to overpay that much more to get the side with the 2 best assets in the deal. And with this being, a fair trade, that isn't overpaying for the 2 best assets. So that's not getting it done. Yeah. And what do you need to add from his side to pull the trigger on this? Do you need a first or not that much?
Another Chris Godwin.
So basically another first. Like if he added his 2024 first, would you do it?
My issue with that is Travis Kelce's age. Mm-hmm. Like this, I would have to feel the way for me to do this is if I can flip Kelce or if the rest of my team is good enough that it can pick up the points I'm losing out of Jalen Hurts pretty much, because I don't think Mac Jones comes close to covering those.
I do agree. Yeah, it might seem weird, but going from the Jalen Hurts side is more of a contender side.
Yeah. And they're all younger.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Hurts and Mac Jones are the same age, but AJ Brown younger than Kelsey and Godwin, and clearly Dotson younger than everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like it just, and this is another. I think this is a really good point for when you're trying to craft trades with people in your league. Is you need to take into account their team and try to get into their head and say, what is the reason for my opponent to accept this deal from their end? Because from your standpoint, it really doesn't sound like it makes sense at all for you to make this deal, whether you're competing, rebuilding or not, or doing whatever. Like, is this deal, while fair, just does not make sense for you. And that's what's really stopping you from getting this deal done.
And if Kelsey had a better trade market, I think I would also lean closer to doing this. But the fact that his trade value is nowhere near what the fact that he can still easily finish the next 2-3 seasons as the scoring tight end one, it's not there anymore. Like, I'd be hard pressed to probably get a 23 first for Travis Kelsey at this point, which is ridiculous, especially in these premiums. Because the second I did this trade, I'd keep Godwin and start packaging Mac Jones and Travis Kelsey to try and get a better quarterback. And like, why would I give up a better quarterback just to go try and get a better quarterback? Right. Like, I really, honestly, I thought about all of this, before I didn't just see it and because that's how I think. No trade is your last trade. So I was thinking, is there a Mac Jones guy in this league? I really don't think there is. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm probably stuck with Mac Jones with 0 ceiling as a QB2. Who else do I have? Justin Fields. That could end very roughly for me if this doesn't go well. And then, yeah, Kelsey's really tough trade market right now. And I just love Chris Godwin. So oh man, if he starts the beginning of the season on all of the trades I got Chris Godwin for this offseason. So, but yeah, there was no direction I can come at this trade where doing it seems like a good idea. Again, even though the value is insanely fair doesn't always mean worth doing.
Yeah, I love it. This is probably the best segment we've done on this one, because I feel like it's so applicable to, I think, a lot of people's situations. Love it.
I feel like a weight has been lifted. Like, getting to talk that out loud. This was like trade therapy for me. I like this. We're going to find more trades like this, that I could do this every single week. But that's enough for now. I've given all I could give you people. But thank you for watching, listening, whatever. This has been the DLF Trade Show, DLF YouTube channel. If you're somehow watching this and don't subscribe, make that number go up.
That number.
That number. And why hasn't it gone up while we were recording? Come on. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Ad House, Addison Hayes, @AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.